He got problems, she got problems, only I got 411 problems. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's time for another story time. Yep, as you can see the title, this story time is about the ghosts in my apartment. Okay, now let me put out a little disclaimer. If you don't believe in this stuff, that's cool, that's all well and good, but if you do, pull up a chair and let's chat. If you don't, you ain't gotta watch it. I mean, you can watch it still and be like, this girl is crazy. Either way, a view is a view, a win is a win. Thanks. Anyway, so this takes place in the year 2000. I was pregnant in my 9th month, and I just moved into the apartment. Matter of fact, before I moved into the apartment manager allowed me to tour the apartment, and the previous tenant was still there. They were cleaning, so I think I still had like a day, maybe a day before I moved in, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like a day or maybe a week, something like that. But either way, the previous tenant, like, she was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's cool, they can look around, because I wanted to see like the layout. And she had a dog. She had a cute little miniature dog. It was so cute. So yeah, so I walked around the apartment, and it was like just normal cleanup, normal wear and tear. It wasn't like anything for me to think like there would be anybody lingering. Put it like that. So anyway, I moved in. Well, my mom helped me move in, and a set of Ty's godparents. Y'all know Ty, hell. A set of Ty's godparents helped us move in as well. Right? Ty was still baking. So they were doing as much as possible to help me out, where I didn't have to do like a lot of lifting or whatever. So it was my mom, Ty's godparents, me, and of course Tyler baking. So once they helped me set up with everything, my mom went back home. They went home, but they lived in the same city that I lived in. As this was during a time where actually my mom was driving back and forth. We were driving 3 hours to my appointment because I was high risk, so I needed to come to the appointment every week. I couldn't work, so I had moved back in with my mom, but she was still driving me because I was so huge I couldn't drive because my stomach was blocking the steering wheel. So she would have to drive me every week. Shout out to my mama. Like, she came through when it came down to her grandkids, baby. She didn't play the radio, honey. She was all with it. She was with everything about her grandkids. So anyway, so everybody went home, and I'm in the apartment by myself. Well, I mean Ty, but basically I'm there by myself. Setting up Ty's room, which, because I had a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. So I was like, okay, I'm setting up things, doing my own little cleaning, what they call nesting, but I clean like crazy anyway. So yeah, so while I'm putting up like my little odds and ends and find my little decorations, one thing I will say, every place that I've had, Walmart has been close, which I prefer. So I'm cleaning the kitchen. So my first experience, I was cleaning the kitchen, and it wasn't nighttime, it was pure daylight. I had it's not a window, but it was a glass. It wasn't a glass door, but it was a regular door, but it was like glass in the middle. So the blinds were open, which was the sunlight that I allowed in the living room. So I'm in the kitchen, and I'm cleaning, putting up stuff, and I had my back turned to the TV. So I'm at the sink and I'm cleaning and doing dishes, and all of a sudden I hear, now I know I'm not crazy. I mean, I'm crazy, but I know I'm in my apartment by myself. So I was like, I'm tripping. Maybe that was the TV. Yeah, I'm tripping. So let me put the TV on mute, maybe, because maybe that was the TV. But I was like, but why would I put my TV on mute? Nah, I'm tripping. So I went back to cleaning. I was doing dishes, and like I said, decorating the kitchen. So a couple of minutes went by, and I hear it again. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's not the TV, because I know it is nothing on this TV that's saying my name repeatedly. So sorry, y'all, I forgot to turn the notification off. There we go. Okay, so I was like, there is nothing on that TV that is saying my name repeatedly, so I ain't tripping. You know, said it again, but I ain't answering because, yeah, no, I'm just going to ignore you because there's nothing we need to talk about. So went on, kept it moving, not tripping, right? So maybe I would say like 2 or 3 weeks later, this particular time it was nighttime. I am in the kitchen again, and once I'm in the kitchen, I am washing my hair. So it was more comfortable for me, especially while being pregnant. And as you guys know, if you really follow my YouTube channel and really pay attention to my vlogs, you know I started my hair. So I've been washing my hair once a week for a while now. So, but it was comfortable for me to wash my hair in the sink instead of trying to bend over on the tub and then trying to get up, because there was no way if I got down that I was gonna be able to get back up because I'm pregnant. I'm right. So it was easier for me to do it in the kitchen sink because the kitchen sink had like the sprayer, you know, the sprayer you can pull up, and it was easier. It was better that way. So as I am going to my hallway closet, got the towel, I'm walking in like the little dining area, and before I get to the kitchen sink, I hear so I kind of stopped in my tracks and I was like, okay, I know I'm not tripping, I know what I heard, and it's dark, so I can call somebody over here and they can chill with me, or let me just call my mama. So I called my mama and I was like, I think I'm tripping, like I think I'm losing it, because I hear somebody in here calling my name and I'm in here by myself. And I was like, is that like something from pregnancy? Like, am I tripping? And so she was like, no. She said, well, I mean, spirits are real, so it could be a spirit. She was like, but I didn't get anything negative while we was there. And I was like, me either. I didn't feel like any kind of negative vibe when we moved in here. I said, but something keeps calling my name. And I said, I know I'm not hallucinating. So she was like, is it your TV? Is it your TV? Like, you sure it wasn't something on your TV that you heard? And I was like, no. And I was like, no, it's not my TV. So she was like, okay. And I was like, well, she was like, well, it could be a spirit. She was like, but you know, black mamas, you know, just say some prayers, have God cover you, and it'll be okay. I don't think it's, you know, I didn't get anything negative or whatever, right? I was like, okay. So I turned the TV off and I turned on music. So I turned on music and I'm listening to R&B because I was like, okay, if it's the TV, let me turn the TV off, turn on music. And I proceed to start washing my hair. So I'm washing my hair and I have my hair bent down. Water is in, on my head. My eyes are closed and I hear the TV is off, music is playing, and I hear what I hear. So I started saying the Lord's Prayer out loud. And I was like, well, the one thing I can do is try to do what Mama told me to do. So I started saying the Lord's Prayer out loud. Said the Lord's Prayer out loud. Didn't hear anything the rest of me washing my hair, the rest of the night. Nothing. Just, it was silent. So I was like, okay, so I don't know. So after that, I called my mom the next day. No. She called me because she called to check. So she was like, well, did you say a prayer? Did anything else happen after you called me? I said, yeah, I turned the TV off and I turned on music. I didn't say a prayer, but it said it again. And so she was like, well, I didn't get anything. And I said, I know. And I was like, I didn't either. And I was like, but it's just saying my name. Like, I'm not having any bad dreams, like no nightmares. There's nothing else crazy happening. It's just I'm hearing my name being called every once in a while. And I know, and I know I'm the only person in here. And I was like, it doesn't make sense. And I was like, but after I turned on the music, I turned off the TV, and it happened again. I said the Lord's Prayer, and it got quiet. And so she's like, and I was like, what? And what does that mean? She was like, well, if it got quiet after you said the Lord's Prayer, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good one. It's a good what? She was like, because it sounds like if you keep hearing your name being called, it sounds like, it's a spirit in your house. And I was like, baby, I can only afford to pay bills for me and this kid that's on the way. I ain't got time for an extra roommate. I don't. But, at this point, what could you do about a roommate that you can't even see? Right. So, she was like, well, let me know if anything else happened, or if it's, if it's weird or anything, just let me know. I was like, all right, I'll let you know. So, in all actuality, nothing else happened after those instances. Nothing else happened. It was after the Lord's Prayer, it was peaceful. Literally, I had no problem. Maybe I would say like 2 weeks later, because I moved in the apartment. It was the beginning of my 9th month. So maybe like 2 weeks later, I ended up having Tyler. I waited until once I went into labor, because I called my mom in the middle of the night because I couldn't get comfortable, and I was throwing up every 5 minutes. And it was so crazy because I didn't have any kind of sickness, no morning sickness when I was pregnant with Tyler. Well, I didn't even know I was pregnant. I was 5 months when I found out I was pregnant with Tyler. That's another story. But yeah, so I started throwing up every 5 minutes, and the only place that I was comfortable was sitting on the toilet. And so I called my mom, and she was asleep, and I was like, Mom, this may sound weird, but the only place I'm comfortable is sitting on the toilet. I'm not using the bathroom, but it's the only place that I'm comfortable. And so she was like, are you in pain? And I said, no, ma'am. She said, well, don't worry about it, I'm on my way. Because she's like, I was in labor, and that's how I was in labor. That's how my labor started. The only place that I was comfortable was sitting on the toilet. And I was like, oh. So she was like, I'm on my way. I was like, okay. So by the time she came, she would call. Like I said, my mom was 3 hours away. Yes, I waited for my mom to get there. So by the time she got there, we went to the hospital, and I was 4 centimeters or 5. I was, sorry y'all, I thought I turned it off. And if you hear any stumping noise in the background, it's the upstairs neighbors. Yeah, so what was I saying? Oh, when I got there, the first nurse that checked me, she was like, oh, you're only 2 centimeters, you gotta go back home. So I was looking at her because I was in pain, and I had done waited for my mama like 3.5 hours. Girl, somebody need to do something. So my midwife had got there before they released me, and so she checked me. She was like, she's not going anywhere, she's 5 centimeters. Anyway, so lo and behold, Tyler is born, and he is flown to Shands. That's another story. So we're gonna turn the page to when Tyler was 1. Okay, so Tyler's home from Shands. He's 1 year old. And on his 1-year-old birthday, I moved Tyler into the guest room, which was actually his room from the begin with. But when he was first born and smaller, he was in the room with me in his crib. His 1-year-old birthday, you gotta get out. Move out time, you go to your own room. So I pushed the crib from my room to his room, right? Now, Tyler was a little acrobat. He could climb in and out his crib. Tyler could fix his own cereal. To this day, my friends be like, Tyler was cleaning his room. Like, kids are extremely smart, I promise you. When they're that age, they're sponges. You can teach them anything. Tyler was cleaning his room. He was fixing his own cereal. So let me be extremely clear. I would have like the little, like, you know, the little personal cereals, and he had, I had a cup of milk in the door at the bottom. So he would open the refrigerator door, which I had like a dish towel, and he'll pull that, and his cereal and his cup would be already right there. He had his own little table, and he'll put it all together in the table, and then push the bowl into the sink and the cup into the sink. Yeah. He got up before me. He was always up before me, so it's whatever. He was fed. And after he would eat, he would come and lay in the bed next to me. He was fine. So anyway, Tyler would be in his own room. He had his TV, he had a crib, he had his toy chest. He had his own setup. And he loved staying in his room. Well, I would say 3 weeks after turning 1, Tyler started waking up in the middle of the night screaming and running down the hallway, screaming to the top of his lungs, running down the hallway. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he did not want to go to, like, he would go to his room during the day, but he would not go to his room at night. After that first episode of him screaming down the hallway, I would go look in the room, like nothing's in the room, nothing's out of place. The TV was, well, I would set the TV on a timer. So after a certain time, of course, the TV cuts off automatically. So I was doing that. So after the first episode, I was like, well, maybe if I keep the TV on all night, maybe he's just afraid of the dark, like, you know, waking up in the middle of the night and the room is completely dark. So maybe that's bothering him. So I kept the TV on all night on Disney Channel. Kept it on all night. And 2-3 days later, here comes Tyler screaming down the hallway, top of his lungs. So go in the room again. There's nothing there. Nothing is out of place. He's just screaming at the top of his lungs, and he's only doing it at night. So of course I called my mama, and I was like, okay, I'm not hearing my name called or anything, but Tyler, this is the second time that he has woke up in the middle of the night and he's screaming down the hallway, because his room was on one end of the hallway and mine was on the other. So it was like his room, the laundry room, the maintenance closet, the bathroom, then the walkway to go into the living room, and then my room when you kept straight. So we were on opposite ends of the hall. I said, so this is the second time he's come down screaming. He's at the top of his lungs. He don't want to go into his room at night. I have to put him to sleep, then put him in his crib, and once I do that, he's waking up in the middle of the night screaming to the top of his lungs. I don't understand. There's nothing in there. There's nothing out of place. Nothing is weird. I leave the TV on. I leave the light on. Like, I'm trying different things and it's not working. So she was like, he's having night terrors. So she was like, well, this is what your grandma used to do. So if y'all come for my grandma in the comments, I'm gonna cuss y'all out. But hear me out. So anyway, she was like, because at this time when she was telling me this stuff, my grandmother had already passed. My grandmother passed when I was in 6th grade. So she was like, well, Mama said, and this is my mother talking, that you put turpentine in a cup and you put it behind every door. And when you do that, they, meaning the spirits, ghosts, bad spirits, doesn't like the smell of turpentine and they will leave, right? So when she said that, I was like, what? She was like, yes, your grandmama said you put turpentine in a cup and you put it behind all your doors, and the spirits don't like the smell of it, so they'll leave. And I was like, oh, okay. So she was like, I'm just telling you. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing it. She was like, okay. So she was like, well, the only other thing I could tell you to do, of course, is to pray. So we started doing, like, the little Our Father prayer, saying he's gonna have a good sleep, just a little simple stuff like that before you go to sleep. Like, while I'm putting him to sleep, I pray over him, stuff like that, right? So the night terrors kept going, like, they kept going. He kept screaming, and then it got to the point where he woke up with bruises. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, that's the problem. So he would have like a bruise here on his arm. Like, Tyler was a very like caramel color when he was a toddler, so he would go to sleep with no bruise, wake up screaming with a bruise, go to sleep no bruise, wake up screaming with a bruise. And it would range from the arms to the legs, to like the high thigh. It would range from different areas, right? So once the bruises continued, and I was like, okay, here's my last resort, because my kid is having these bruises and I don't like it. So I went to the store and got the turpentine. Very hard to find in the city. Pretty sure it's easy to find in the country, but very hard to find in the city. But I found it in a mom and pop pharmacy. Found it. So I got 3 bottles, and I bought like the little cups from Walmart that I didn't want to keep, right? So once I got the cups from Walmart, put them, I sent Tyler to one of my friend's house, and I was like, let him spend the night over here while I do what my mama told me to do. So at the time, I had the front door, the back door to the patio, Ty's door, the bathroom door. I did the closets, my door, the closet doors. Every door that was in there, I put a cup and poured it in there. So she was like, and I called her and I was like, do I have to put a lie? Is there a certain amount? She was like, nope, you can just fill the bottom with each cup, and they don't like the smell of it. And I was like, okay. So I put it behind every door just to be safe. Every door, I put that stuff in there. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I can understand why the spirits don't like it, because it stinks. It is extremely strong. But at this point, I didn't care, because my kid was screaming down the hallway and waking up with bruises. So at this point, anything was worth a try. So I did that, went to sleep. No problem for me. like I said, I haven't had any problem after the Lord's Prayer. But once Tyler turned 1, that's when the night terror started, which is what my mom called them. So she called me. Actually, she was the one who woke me up because she called. When she called, she was like, "Good morning," and I was like, "Good morning." And so she was like, "What do the cups look like? Like, did you have any problems last night?" And I was like, "No, I actually haven't." I said, "I actually slept really, really good," which I wasn't having any problem sleeping. Tyler was. So I was like, "I actually slept really, really good." So I was like, "But let me check the cups." And so as I kept checking the cups, like none of them, like the cups was fine. Like the stuff was still in the bottom, because I was like, "What do I do with it?" So she was like, "You pour it outside. Like you don't pour it in your sink or nothing. Like you pour it out. And I'll actually have you actually dig a hole and pour it down the hole." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I was like, "Anywhere?" She was like, "Yeah." So I'm collecting the cups. Nothing is wrong with none of the cups that I'm collecting all the cups. So Tyler's room was the last cup that I went to go collect. Go behind Tyler's door, go to pick up the cup, and the cup is melted. I said, "Mama, this cup is melted." Like, none of the cups, all the other cups was fine. The turpentine was still in there. I was like, "This cup is melted." Like, melted. So she said, "Before you bring my baby back, before you bring my baby back," she's like, "You got any left?" And I was like, "I do." And so she was like, "Okay, put a cup behind his door, put another cup behind his door, and we gonna give it another 24 hours. Put the cup behind his door, gave it another 24 hours. My hunger had no problem because she knew what was going on, and she had no problem with keeping Tyler for me. So she was like, the next morning, my mom called and I was like, "It's fine." Like the cup was like the rest of the cups. Like nothing was wrong with it. She was like, "Oh, okay, well I think you're all clear now." Now, I know this may seem far-fetched, and a lot of times the stuff that seems far-fetched to people is because they haven't experienced. I experienced this stuff. There's no reason for me to lie. Like, I'm the type of person where I have to see it to believe it. I'm that type of person. So, which was why when I heard my name calling, it was like, I kind of threw it off, and literally was like it was the TV. Even though I know it wasn't the TV, I kind of threw it off for that. But that turpentine stuff, no, baby, that was real. That was real. Like, to see that cup being melted. And here's the thing, my kid stopped having night terrors after that. He didn't have any more night terrors. He wasn't watching scary movies. He was watching Disney Channel. So it wasn't that. And he was waking up with bruises. I would put my baby to bed, there would be no bruises, and he was waking up screaming with bruises. So, like, yeah, truth be told, people who don't believe it, that's all well and good, and I hope and pray that you never ever have to experience anything like that. But that was just really, really freaky. We ended up staying in the apartment until after that, because it was straight peaceful after that. So we stayed in the apartment for, oh my god, how long was we in the apartment? How old is Tyler? We moved out when Tyler was 3. Yes, we moved out when Tyler was 3. We moved out and ended up moving in with his godparents. Another story. And we stayed there for, I think, like 6 months. And then we moved. Yep. And we moved to a whole different city. Yeah. But yeah. So that concludes the story time of the ghost in my apartment. I love you the most because you're definitely the dopest in real life, and I will see you in the next one. Happy Vlogtober!